taking a peek at the steering wheel as well as the cluster screen inside of the Mercedes E450. And in this video, you're going to learn everything you need to know about the buttons, etc. So first thing, we're going to start off with the steering wheel adjusting, which is on your left-hand side. So in the steering wheel column there, it's power telescoping. So in, out, up, and down to find that perfect position for you. Once you do, you release it and you're set to go. What I'd also recommend is after your steering wheel is set up, get your driver's seat set up the way that you'd like to, get your side view mirrors set up the way that you'd like to, and once that's all done, you're then going to hit M and then 1, 2, or 3 in order for it to remember your own personal profile. It's very useful if multiple people are driving the vehicle. You've got the option for heated first row seats and ventilated first row seats. So I guess technically heated first row seats are standard. Ventilated first row seats are available there as an option. And then so many different buttons. So you've got your buttons along the top there, and that's to navigate through the cluster screen as well as the head-up display if you've got it. And then you've also got your cruise control settings. So you toggle cruise control on by pushing on there. You could then set by pushing up or down. You could then increase or decrease. So it's 5 miles or 10 kilometers per hour at a time. So it's going to bring you to the nearest 0 kilometers an hour or the nearest 5 or 0 miles. So as an example, let's say if you initially set it at 37, you push up, it's going to bring you to 40, 50, 60, etc. for kilometers, and then it's going to bring you to 40, 45, 50, etc. for miles. You could then swipe up or down. So you're essentially dragging your finger up or down there in order to increase or decrease 1 kilometer or 1 mile per hour at a time. You can hit the brake to cancel your speed. You can hit the cancel button to cancel your speed, and then you can hit the resume button in order to resume your previously set speed. But if you actually want to see the cruise control system used in person, check down in the description of this video for a live walkthrough demonstration. The other one I'll point out is the gap adjustment. So that's how close or far are you away from the vehicle that's in front of you with 4 unique levels. In my personal opinion, like I'm okay with being, oh, it's getting chilly. I'm okay with being on level 1 for residential streets and highways. That's a matter of preference though. Like you might want to be on level 2, 3, or 4, just depending on your own comfort level. I'd recommend level 1 on residential streets, maybe level 3 on highways or interstates, just depending on your own comfort level there. And then just toggling the system off. Buttons along the right-hand side, there are so many options. So you've got a favorited button there, which is going to give you the flexibility of, we've got it set up to connect a device. You've got your voice assistant. So there's the option of using your voice. Hey, Mercedes.
Yes.
And then that would pull up. So you'd be able to do things like turn on the heated steering wheel. You can use climate using your voice and so many other things. Or you could tap the voice command prompt there. Now, if you, oh, there we go. Now, if you had a phone connected through Android or iPhone devices, so Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, etc., if you push and hold, that's going to either bring up your Siri or your Google Assistant if you were hooked up over your phone through Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. You've got a volume slider there. You can push along the bottom in order to mute. You can answer or hang up on a phone call. And then you've also got a little dial pad along the top, and that's actually to control the infotainment system. So you can swipe across in order to move between different options there. You could then push in if you'd like to. You can swipe up or down to get to different options, move across as necessary. There's a basic back button to bring you back a screen. You can go back to the home screen there on top of that. So it's pretty neat. So rather than kind of moving over and fiddling with the infotainment system, you can control things there. But the majority of things you can control using your voice. Hey, Mercedes.
How can I help?
Turn on the heated steering wheel.
Okay, I'm switching on the steering wheel heating.
I mean, that's neat. Hey, Mercedes.
Yes?
Turn off the heated steering wheel.
I'm stopping the steering wheel heating for you now.
It's a fairly smart assistant from that perspective. Like I said, you can control most things. You can adjust the climate using your voice. You can say I'm hot, I'm cold, etc. And it would automatically adjust climate for you. It is really, really cool. And then other things. Stick along the left-hand side is going to be for your wipers. So you've got different options there. So you've got your different intermittent levels. There's a button on the tip of the left stick. You can tap it in order to get your wipers to go once. But if you push and hold it, that is going to get your windshield wiper fluid going. You could then pull towards you in order to be able to flash your high beams. But as of right now, I'm actually in the auto mode. So you've got your auto mode that you're going to be in the majority of the time. So if the vehicle recognizes high beams are needed, it turns them on automatically. Now, you can't permanently lock your high beams out in the auto mode though. So at night, it's going to flip them on automatically. If you want to lock on your high beams, you're going to go to the right, push away to turn them on, pull towards you in order to turn them off. Then you've got different light modes that are available, along with a switch in order to be able to turn your fog lamps on or off if you've got them. Along the right-hand side, you've got your actual shifter. So with your foot in, hop up in order to get yourself into reverse. You're going to lightly push down, not all the way, because if you are in reverse and you push down, that's going to bring you into drive. So on drive, you're going to lightly lift up, or in reverse, you're going to lightly push down in order to get yourself into neutral. And then there's a button on the tip of the right stick in order to put yourself into park. When you are in reverse, drive, whatever the case may be, you've got your 360 camera there with a forward view, rear view, and then different side views. And then there's a full 360 view available too, so you can just drag your finger around in order to see what's going on around the vehicle. It's actually really neat. I love it. But if you want a full walkthrough on that infotainment, you'll find it down in the description of the video. Then there's paddle shifters inside of the car. So you've got your minus on the left-hand side, plus on the right side. So if you wanted to drop gears in order to shoot up your RPM gauge to get some speed to pass somebody, you could. You can also use that in order to be able to shoot those RPMs up. And if you don't hit the accelerator pedal, it would essentially be engine braking instead to slow yourself down. But if you've never used paddle shifters before and you want a deeper explanation of how they're used, check down in the description of this video. And then you've got a series of different customization options inside of the cluster. And inside of the cluster screen, what we're going to do in order to navigate through, you're using the home button and then the back buttons here along the left side of the steering wheel. So if you tap the home button there, that's going to bring up this view. Tap again to get back to this view. But inside of the cluster screen, you've got your current speedometer, you've got your fuel gauge done two different ways, so it's your kilometers or miles till empty, and then you've also got your gauges down this way. Inside of the infotainment system, you'd also have the flexibility of being able to adjust out your measurement units. You've got your current time along the bottom, your current outside temperature, what drive mode you're in. So there's a switch down by your right knee under the screen in order to move out, but that's going to show you what drive mode you're currently in, and then the gear that you're in there. And then on top of that, you've also got your tachometer. Love it. And then as you have different settings enabled along the top, so you can see your speed sign recognition. So if the vehicle recognizes the road speed, it would show up. If the cruise control setting was active, that would show up there. You've also got your current speed, so that's done differently. This one is a lane keeping system notification. So if the vehicle recognizes the lane markings, that's going to go green. So these things will both go green. With the one on the right side, that one's going to be your lane keep assist. So if you start to veer over into another lane without signaling, it can nudge you back into your lane. This little feller is for steering assist, so it's going to keep you nice and balanced. It's not full self-driving, because you technically do need to keep your hands on the steering wheel. After about 10 seconds, you get a message in the cluster to put them back on, but that is available now. If you ever get any messages there, tap the OK button to get rid of them. But there is the option for lane change assist. So when that's green, it's going to have little arrows next to it, and there might be A's next to that. So there are two different versions of the lane change assist. There's manual and auto. With manual on highways and interstates, you hit the turnstile to go left or right. It's going to check next to you and automatically shoot you over one way or the other. With the auto mode, you'd have a little A next to that on each side, and that's an auto change. So what's going to happen there is that if the lane that you're in, the vehicle recognizes the cars in front of you are going too slow, it's automatically going to turn on the signal for you and change lanes for you. You can stop it by pushing the OK button or by tapping that turnstile again, but it is a great system overall. The first few times you use it might freak you out, but it's a great system. Now, it's not standard across the board, and you can adjust out what mode you're in inside of the infotainment system. And then from there, you've got your little rocker along the side in order to be able to go between different screens. So you've got your current odometer dropping down from start. So as of right now, I haven't gotten the greatest fuel economy. That's just because I'm sitting here doing an explainer video. But if we slide down a level, since I picked the vehicle up, again, that's kind of out of whack now. I was getting pretty good economy until I stopped to do these explainers, but you can see they're pretty good economy overall. Since this is a mild hybrid, one other thing I forgot to point out, the two gauges along the bottom here. So if it's using that 48 volt battery, so if it's using the hybrid side of things, you're going to notice your power gauge adjust here. As you go to brake, you'll notice that it shoots out, trying to recapture charge in order to charge that other battery up. But it's a great system overall. If you're just coasting on the highway, it works incredibly well. Like the fuel economy that I was getting on the highway, I was looking at 6.5 liters per 100. It's amazing. And then you could, if you want to, push OK in order to reset. So if you wanted to reset your counters, you could, and that's for either the from start counter or the main trip 1 counter. Down gives you your eco display, so as you go to drive, if you're getting good economy, it's going to give you better stars if you're driving better. There's your current consumption levels. your attention assist. So if you start to veer over too many times with the signaling, lane changing, dozing, things like that, eventually it's going to tell you that you should probably take a break. You can disable that through the infotainment system. And if we, let's see, what do we have left? We've got your attention assist, and back into your Sirius XM. You can swipe across in order to get to all of your available presets. Swiping up again, swiping down I should say, gets you to this little mapping cluster. So it's pretty neat. Once you've got an active route going, actually let's look at putting in an address here. Let's look for some random food. And here we go, just something random. And let's go. There we go. Look at that, your little mapping cluster. You can see what's going on. Now, you've also got the button here, so your home icon. Swiping across to the left brings you to the sports screen. I think that looks really cool. So I would probably have that screen on myself the majority of the time, but you could also have more of this like relaxing classic view. There's a full mapping cluster view, which, I mean, that looks really cool in and of itself. You still got your digital speed and all the important information, but if you'd prefer to look there instead of over in the infotainment system, you could. There's an assistant screen. So as you start to drive, that's interesting, there's no car in front of me, but as you start to drive, you'll notice that you've got cars passing you, lanes and things like that. It's kind of neat the way that that looks as you drive. Back to service. So this is where you're going to see all of your important information. So your current tire pressure, coolant levels, engine levels, and things like that. And back, let's get back to that main screen. And then if you tap again and push up, that's going to give you the flexibility of being able to jump between different options for your head-up display. So you can toggle the head-up display off completely if you'd like to, toggle it back on. You can adjust out the settings. So do you want it sitting a little bit higher or a little bit lower, just based off of your own personal height? You can adjust the brightness by swiping left or right on the OK pad. And then there are a few different views available. So you've got a basic minimal view, there's a sport view, and then there's also your standard view. I'd personally stick with the standard view because you get so much information. So you've got your current road speed, your current vehicle speed. If you've got an active route going, that would show up. All of your different keeping systems and things like that, your turn-by-turn directions, etc. It's actually really neat. If you cancel out your route, you'll see a few of those things disappear. But I love the head-up display overall. And like I said, you've got the flexibility of toggling it off if you want to. And inside of the infotainment system, there are a few different settings for the steering wheel. So if you swipe down from the top, or if you hit the little car icon under the screen, it's going to bring you this. You can toggle the head-up display off. You can turn traction control on or off, enter that manual shifting mode. The beeping that you get as you get closer to obstacles can be toggled on or off. Your lane change assist and auto lane change, things like that. You've got the flexibility of turning all of these safety settings off. And then you've also got your tow-away alarm and then blocking the trunk access and then a series of other settings. Like I said, full walkthrough of the infotainment system is down in the description of this video. So I know that is a lot of information, but that's everything you need to know about the steering wheel as well as the cluster screen inside of the Mercedes E450.